Hi, I'm Mike. The ranch is in trouble. The lack of rain has left us with no hay to feed over the winter. And the hay we're going to buy to make up for it is going to cost us tens of thousands of dollars. Today, we look at how we can reduce winter feeding costs and keep the ranch going for just one more year on Our Wyoming Life. Welcome back, and thanks for joining us once again as we explore the ranch life and escape the ordinary. If this is your first time here, make sure you subscribe and stick around to the end of the video, because today we're paying you back and giving you the chance to win a brand new pair of Ariat boots just for watching. Details are coming, but first we have to talk a little bit about the ranch and ranches that are just like ours that have to deal with harsh winters. And we're going to talk about how a winter can really make or break a ranch. Hey guys. Let's start out by looking at the winter out here in Northeast Wyoming. The National Weather Service has records going back over 100 years for our area. Over that time, they've been able to come up with averages, and those averages help us determine what our weather will be like over certain times of each year. For example, in October, our average low is 33 degrees. Our average high is about 60. However, we also have an average snowfall of a little over 4 inches. What does that tell us? Not much. In fact, it does give us a little bit of an impression that snow is coming, and the average of 4 inches, then we can expect anywhere from 2 to 6. That snow is what is really going to determine our winter grazing plan. 7 inches average in November, another 10 in October, and that could add up to feet of snow covering the prairie. Although I think I might be just getting a little bit ahead of myself, because our winter grazing plan actually, well, it began clear back in June. It was on June 17th that we pulled the plug on haying this year. Normally, by that time, we'd have 4 to 5 inches of rain, and it doesn't seem like a lot, but for us in the high desert, this is what really we need that time of year. The grasses here have been growing on the plains for thousands of years. Natural selection has left the most drought-tolerant plants alive and thriving, but they still need water. And this year, that's what they're missing. While we were expecting 4 to 5 inches of rain to help grow our hay crop, as well as the pasture grasses for the cows to eat during spring and summer and fall, we really only received about 2 inches of rain by the end of June. That lack of rainfall and the worst drought since 2012 has forced us to change how we do things, which really isn't that, well, it's not as bad as it seems. You see, it's pretty easy to get stuck in a rut. Cows have calves, we cut hay, we breed the cows again, we sell calves, and then we feed cows the hay that we cut until they can have calves again. And that's how ranching, a cow-calf operation, pretty much works, if you take it down to the bare bones. But like they say, if you do the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result each time, well, you're delusional. So when things like this happen, drought, for example, situations force you to look at things just a little bit differently. Now, you don't have to. You could just keep doing the same thing, replace cut hay with buy hay. That's a solution. It's an expensive one, but it is a solution nonetheless. This year, back in June, when we decided that because of the lack of rain and the fact that our hay fields, which account for about 500 acres of the ranch, should produce enough hay to feed all of our cows all winter long, well, those hay fields, instead of producing thousands of pounds of hay per acre, well, they're going to produce a lot less. Actually, we figured it out. It was about 500 pounds per acre. That low yield then makes the cost of haying go way up, taking our cost from about $20 per bale to over $100 per bale. All of a sudden, it's cheaper to buy hay and have it trucked here than it is to put the wear and tear on our tractors, our equipment, and pay for fuel and repairs. But now we have some 100 and some odd cows out here that are going to eat 25 to 30 pounds of hay per day for 6 months over the winter. The math is, well, it's pretty easy. Each cow eating 30 pounds of hay per day for 180 days, that's 5,400 pounds per cow, or 2.7 tons per cow. We also have the bulls to feed as well as other animals, so we round that up to 3 tons per cow. 3 tons of hay per cow is what we need to produce or buy to keep the cows fed all winter long. Take the 100 cows, just to keep the math easy, we need 300 tons of hay. Each bale that I put up is right around 1,400 pounds, so we need about 430 bales. Now the ranch isn't making those bales this year, and hay costs, which are controlled by hay growers, mostly in South Dakota in our area because they have the rivers to irrigate out of and don't have to rely on the rainfall, well, they get to set their own price, supply and demand. Now back in June, we started looking at hay prices and what they look like. And even back then, we could see that the prices were on the rise. $150 a ton was an average price, and that often didn't include trucking. Remember, we can put hay up for $30 a ton right here on our ranch, and prices are rising because people have to have the hay because the cycle has to continue. People have to buy it. Remember, cut hay or buy hay, then we feed the hay. Well, it was about then that we realized that we had to seriously rethink our winter feeding strategy. We know we're gonna have to feed hay. If we have 2 feet of snow on the ground, the cows they can't get to the grass, and we have to feed. Plus, because our climate and the lack of rain, there has been very little regrowth on the grass on the ranch. For example, there hasn't been a cow in this area since June. And as they ate and they moved their way through, this is what is left. So we know that what has regrown, and obviously it's not enough to support a cow. There's nothing here. At least the herd of cows, well, it's not going to support them any more than just a couple days. So there's not much here. Mob grazing and rotational grazing, while they work great in some climates and areas, don't work well here. The grass, it doesn't regrow after it's been eaten by a cow or any other critter. In fact, that's the exact reason we only get 1 cutting of hay per year. We don't have the rainfall to grow it back after June or July. And of course the drought, it doesn't help. So here we are back here with the cows, and an option on one hand to actually feed the cows 6 months of the year, or we have to come up with another plan. That's our other option. We decided this year to actually gamble on a new plan. And yes, like everything with ranching, it's a gamble. And we're always gambling against Mother Nature. While the pastures are going to be grazed down by cows and won't grow back much to support them when they come back through, we still have the hay fields that we didn't cut this year. And those we've left sit. We want to make sure that they grow as much as possible with the little rain that we've had. And basically, we're using them as a season extender to hopefully put off feeding cows exclusively hay for just a little while. And this is one of those hay fields. Not much to look at, but hopefully we can put off feeding cows exclusively hay. We're still going to have to feed hay, like I said, but this is one small tactic, and it's one the cows probably aren't going to like too much because they're used to being fed once it gets cold. This year, they're going to have to work for their dinner. Our plan is to extend the grazing season into winter, but we aren't going to do it all willy-nilly. We're going to be putting a lot of thought behind it and making it as efficient as possible. Hay this winter is going to be treated like the high-value commodity it is, and the cows still have acres of grass left to eat out here. Each cow that we can get to winter graze is going to save the ranch money in hay. We know that our hay fields still carry about 500 pounds per acre, but we know that the cows they need 30 pounds per day, and we have like 100 of those cows, so we have to feed those. 300 pounds per day is what we need. Now, we started out with 500 acres of hay grounds. 200 acres of that has already been grazed. It's located down in summer pasture, and usually we hay it before the cows get there. It's not fenced off, so when we put the cows into summer pasture, they grazed it along with their normal prairie, and to tell you the truth, it isn't a whole lot different. So we have about 300 acres of hay fields left to play with. At 300 acres, 500 pounds per acre, we'll produce about 75 tons of hay for the cows. At 300 pounds per day, we should be able to feed the cows for, 500 days. That's amazing, but it's not realistic. 500 pounds would be harvest weight, and if we rolled it tight into bales back in June, when there was more moisture in it, it probably would have worked out that way. Now we'll be lucky to get maybe 200 pounds per acre, and letting the cows harvest it themselves, they're going to be trampling it, they're going to be pooping on it, manure, all kinds of other factors come into consideration. And then we're going to reduce all this down to maybe 100 pounds per acre of total feed for the cows. That's 300 acres worth, and now 100 days of feed for the cows in a perfect world. One where Mother Nature isn't always trying to throw a wrench in our plans, because like I said, at some point, the snow will become too much for us to compensate for. It'll push any remaining grass down into the ground, and it'll become, well, useless as food for cows. Right now, we're looking at 180 days of feeding, and if we can reduce that by even 50 days, we're saving the ranch money. But how much? Well, hay has already been arriving on the ranch. We know that we're going to need a certain amount of it, and we found a great price, at least for this year, of $135 per ton delivered. That means that each cow in a normal year eating 3 tons by herself would cost the ranch $405. That works out to a feeding cost of $2.25 per day for that cow. With our winter grazing plan, we're hoping to reduce winter feeding from 180 days down to about 125 days. That reduced the amount of hay that she's going to require to about 1.8 tons. Now that number screams to be rounded, so let's round that up to 2 tons. That saves us 1 ton of hay per cow. Now her feeding cost, it's down to $1.50 per day for the winter. Over 100 cows, that saves us $75 per day for a total savings of almost $14,000 in hay. That's if everything goes perfectly. But there is hope, and sometimes that's all you have. We still have to buy enough hay to make this plan work, a little bit over $25,000 worth of hay actually. And we have to use hay to move cows from grazing area to grazing area because while we would do it with water, the water will be freezing overnight. So we have to use hay to move cows from grazing area to grazing area. Really, this is all just a huge gamble on our part. We could get burned very, very easily. A couple feet of snow in October, November, or December would flatten the remaining hay out here and would force us to start feeding more earlier and make us wish that we'd probably purchase more hay earlier. But for now, this is the best plan for us because we just can't sit back. We can't just write checks and hope that things work out for the better. We have to be proactive and we have to try new things and do what's best for us and our herd. Isn't that what it's all about? Doing the best for our herd. Thanks for coming along today. I can say that all this talking really does help me get all this stuff straight in my head. Not the easiest thing to do, but you know what is easy to do, and that is winning. Today you can win. You can do just that, just by watching this video. I'm proud to give away a pair of Ariat boots, a $250 value, and all you have to do to enter is head on over to our website, sign up for the Our Wyoming Life newsletter, and that's it. Right there on our homepage, you'll find a box to do so, and it's as simple as that. If you're already signed up and receiving the newsletter, don't fret because you are automatically entered. And you know, you can even get somebody else to sign up. You might be able to work out a deal if they win, maybe like a timeshare on the boots. Who knows? Go to the website, ourwyominglife.com, scroll down just a little bit and sign up right there. And that's all you have to do. We'll announce it, our winner on Sunday on our live stream on our sister channel, Beyond the Ranch. And you don't have to be there to win, but it'd be a lot cooler if you were. Thanks all. Subscribe and be sure to follow along as we put this whole winter grazing plan into effect. Hopefully it works, but if it doesn't, you'll be right there to see how we fix it. We'll see you next time. Until then, have a great week, and thanks for joining us in Our Wyoming Life.